Going on in the news. We've gone from Donald Trump being a convicted felon to now having all of his lawsuits and lawfare thrown out to now being Times Man of the Year, ringing the bell at the stock market. So much going on. To help me go through all that, I have Paul Stone. Paul, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, it's so great to be to be back, Stephen. Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff's happening.
So, for just some background for my audience, Paul Stone is the founder of Colonial Metals Group, and has become a good friend. I always enjoy picking his brain. What are your thoughts on what I said as we opened here? Donald Trump has gone from, convicted felon, all of these lawsuits that end up just all of them falling off like flies, and now Time Magazine, which is Democrat-backed, loves Joe Biden, names Donald Trump Person of the Year. What are your thoughts on this comeback?
Well, it's immense, the comeback. I have an old saying, and I don't want to try and make it seem like I'm so great, but with connecting it up with Trump's run. But, I've got a lot of living in my years, and I learned a long time ago that everything I want in life is always going to lie on the other side of fear. That fear is the guardian of greatness. It's like fear preserves the greatness bounty for all of us that are willing to cross over the line of fear and have at it. And that's what Trump's run was. Imagine it's easy to compare, right? If he won re-election, he would have just been log jammed, arguing, more impeachments. Pelosi'd still be there. He wouldn't have the House or the Senate. He took that loss, and then life said to him, Mr. Donald J. Trump, how bad do you want this? And he wanted it real bad. And I think that all of us, that those opportunities await all of us that want it real bad. Now, we don't know if it's a sprint or a marathon, right? His was a marathon. His was a gauntlet. His was a beatdown. And when I met him at Mar-a-Lago and got to congratulate him after his victory with Larry Kudlow, I told him, you've been a lot of references made to you being George Washington's second coming. Difference is he was fighting a visiting army and navy, and you're fighting one that's already here. You're more like Braveheart. And he said, I feel like Braveheart. I'm not going to try to impersonate his voice, but so the victory is humanistic, right? And it's an example for all of us. It really is. How bad do we want it? We're going to have to go through fire sometimes to get big trophies, to bag the big game. So I'm just reassured that humanity is still alive and kicking. We just didn't see too many examples of it in the last Obama and then the 4 years of Biden. And so we're wildly awake to what's possible if we go for it as humans.
Yeah, I love that. One of my favorite quotes is, life shrinks or grows in proportion to your courage. So if you have little courage, you're going to shrink. If you have a lot of courage, it's going to grow. So I appreciate those words. I'm excited. I feel like there's new energy in the air. A lot of people are optimistic about the future. Unfortunately, we're going into that future dragging the terrible years of Joe Biden, his policies, the overspending. In the past 4 years, I've seen almost no effort to protect the US dollar, strengthen it, make sure it remains the world reserve currency. As you know, the dollar has lost 26% of its buying power. Inflation is hurting the average American. What do you think of Trump using language and projected policy that he plans to strengthen the dollar, keep it as the world reserve currency, make it stronger than ever, try to overcome all of the crap that Biden put us through? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, there's two versions to our currency, or any country's currency, or two measurements, I should say. When we say strong dollar, there's the currency, the strength of our currency as compared to other currencies. Right now, the symbol for that, and I'm not a financial advisor or giving anyone financial advice, but DXY is the symbol if anyone wants to start tracking the strength of the dollar. And that dollar index right now is 106.5, 106.5. Then there's the buying power of a currency. And the buying power of our dollar, you mentioned 26%. That's how much ground we lost during Biden's 4 years. But since the turn of the century in the year 2000, when the money printing really started, the dollar has gone from 56 cents to 3. So since the dollar was backed by gold, it's over its journey, it's now lost 97%. It's not lost. The government has destroyed by printing money. Think of the dollar that comes out of a mine. They've mined out. There's something limited in the mine, right? There's just however much is in the ground, and the mine has it all, and there's only $1 mine. And they've mined out 97% of the value of that mine. And you can't put it back. So you can't strengthen the buying power of the dollar. You would have to restore dollars back to the mine, if you will. And then the dollar would have more buying. You would literally have to stop. You could stop the decline by stop printing one artificial dollar, not one. And, when we mean print, we're typing on an Excel spreadsheet at the Federal Reserve, and they just issue it out, and there it exists. Or the federal government borrows it, and then the Federal Reserve types it onto an Excel spreadsheet, and then the federal government gets to spend it. So that's what we mean. And that can't be stopped. And that is horrific. And that really settles into someone's mind and it clicks. Then they say, oh, I better look at having dollars and something other than dollars. And that's where we come in. But that can't be fixed. A strong dollar just actually makes it harder for our companies to do trade overseas. And it makes it really easy for us to acquire stuff that comes inbound from overseas. So there's no way to strengthen the dollar as far as us citizenry has to use it as a currency and what its buying power is. You would have to, I'll shut up with this, but Stephen, you would have to have 33 $24 bills, 33, spread them across your kitchen table to go back into the 40s and buy something that cost $1. Wow. That's what I mean. That erosion can't stop, won't stop. The bills keep getting bigger, the healthcare, the Medicare, the Medicaid, all that stuff keeps getting Social Security. As they print, they cause inflation. Then they have to hand more people bigger Social Security checks to offset the inflation that they're causing by printing the money to give someone money for Social Security. That's the conundrum. That's the, that's where you're stuck. And you can't get out of that unless you're willing to cause some pain. And that's where real thinking like we should send you to Congress so you could figure out how could old timers do a little bit of create a little bit of commerce while they're at home for a couple hours a day to contribute to produce revenue. I know it doesn't sound great, but when the dollar's dead, there is no Social Security money. You'd have to give someone 30 grand a month instead of 3 grand a month. So when the dollar's dead, there is no more of any of this. And I don't mean to shriek, but Trump's going to do incredible stuff. Close the border, lots of other things. Elon and Vivek, lots of great stuff. Spin up excitement, excitement. You need it. So that we've all seen sports franchises win a trophy they shouldn't have won. They were punching above their weight for a season or maybe for a few games in a row, right? And there can be a lot of that sugar high. Trump's got 2 years probably before the House or the Senate flips. That's tradition. You don't get to keep all the houses, both houses, for your 4 years. It's typically 2, and then something's going to go away. And then who comes after Trump? People really need to look at this math problem. Stop messing around with it. It can't get solved. Not today. It could have been solved 30, 40 years ago, but not today.
Yeah. All right. So then might it be better to say, instead of strengthening the dollar, slowing inflation and slowing the weakening of the dollar by becoming energy independent, more fiscally responsible? Maybe Doge cuts out some of the crazy spending and wasteful spending of the U.S. government?
Yeah, it's a great point. But here again, and here's what maybe will tie it all together, Stephen, is that, let's say we're on a financial journey. We kind of are, right? And the dollar is our treaded set of tires. And the dollar's buying power means it's, 3%, you're at 3% tread. So you're about to get 4 flat tires if you don't change the currency someday. If you were to say, well, we'll slow down the wear of the tread, right? We'll try to get this journey done on the tires we've got. what does that? I mean, you drive slower. Oh yeah, well, we'll just drive slower, because what that would mean is you're putting less money. Now we can look at money as energy, still the dollar on the tires, but let's also look at it as gas in the tank. So it takes $7 trillion to get through the year, to get through this, call it 10,000 mile journey. Well, now we're only going to put $6 trillion of energy in the tank. Well, now we can't get to the end of the year. The minute the economy starts going without dollars that it's used to having, has to have, you're going to see breakdowns somewhere, right? You see that analogy? You're going to be out pushing. You can't push this beast. It has to move from its own engine. You have to feed it dollars to get the engine to burn, to turn. And you also need a set of tires to roll on down the financial highway. This is what I hope to wake people up to. This is a math problem. This isn't a podium problem. It's also that and my Substack that I wrote recently on China will just illuminate how horrific the leadership has actually been for God knows how long, but let's call it at least 50, 60 years. None of these government people have actually solved any problems. They come up with these insane programs that cost all kinds of money that no one has, so they print it, and those cause more problems. And on we go for 50 years. Let's say they've been causing 5 very powerful issues a year. You now have 250 massive problems that can't be solved. And there's a math problem that they created beyond all of it that can't be solved. The whole world is dealing with this. So then you can go, my God, are people asleep at the wheel? They literally have no vision. And Donald Trump can have a vision, but we also can't hear what we can't hear. So if he really doesn't understand the dollar's buying powers I told an economist from the Financial Times after a function, and she just argued to the floor with me. That doesn't mean anything anymore. There's modern monetary theory and all this stuff. And, I just take a farmer's approach to this. If we don't get any rain, we don't get any crops. It's like that. Simple.
Yeah.
So if they cut, great. That's going to be like, great. Yeah, the government runs efficiently like Tesla does. But the economy's like, yeah, but you didn't give me my $7 trillion. So now we're going to die somewhere, parts of the economy.
Gotcha. Is this why, at least in my opinion, everybody should have some portion of their money, their wealth, their retirement outside of the US dollar, whether that's foreign stocks or my preferred, method, gold and silver, where there is a split. One of them goes up in value historically, and one of them goes down in buying power historically. Is that accurate?
Yeah, let's pretend we're reading off the back of a cereal box that there's 4 places for one's money, right? It's in the morning, you're eating cereal and you turn the box around. There's cash in a safe at home, physical cash, real estate in the financial world, or in the vault. Cash, real estate, financial world, or vault. Those are the 4 forms your money can take without getting exotic, unless you want Bitcoin at 100,000. But what does Bitcoin do? Right. So we know gold and silver is limited. We've heard Bitcoin is limited to 21 million, but if it exists in a computer, what absolute laws of Mother Nature prevent that from becoming 42 million or 60 or 80, whatever million? So we're just looking at the general plainly stated options that make sense. Cash, physical cash. That used to be a cool thing to have, but the government's burning the buying power of your cash in your safe from Washington. Real estate, wildly inflated. Banks lend 10 times the amount of money they're sitting on. Clinton started that. So that means banks print money too when they create a loan. Because if the Bank of Gardner is sitting on $1 billion, you can loan 10 billion. Where's the 10 billion coming from? Thin air. And then Fannie Mae and federal agencies come by every once in a while and go over to Gardner Bank and go, let's see your portfolio. And then they then they buy 60, 70% of your portfolio and they refresh you. This is what's been making everyone rich. beyond their wildest dreams, because these aren't their dreams, which means they're not real. And then soon it'll be a nightmare. And we don't know when. Is it a year? Is it 18 months? Is it 3 years? Does China shoot down our satellites and it starts tomorrow? Like, you got to understand, you see the prepping for China to do something with Russia. You see the prepping. All they have to do is shoot down the satellites, which they could do in a minute. I've been reading reports about it. Offenses win when they go where defenses aren't. So where are we? What's our Achilles heel? Digital communication. Shut that down. The power grid stops. Lots of things stop. Sports stops. Banking probably stops. Lots of things stop. The military sending carrier pigeons from the shore to the aircraft carrier. And that you can mothball our economy without killing anyone, without firing a shot.
Maybe that's what all those drones over New Jersey are doing, collecting data, collecting intel, practicing how much they can get away with. My goodness, it's been almost a month and nobody can.
Why can't we shoot them down? What if they're carrying EMPs? And what if they're just testing how stupid we are? Because we are. And it's not you and me. We're brilliant. Everyone watching this is brilliant. It's the hamstrung, bound up, mentally constipated, inept, cowardly politicians that can't ever do it because it's so big. If you had to get, someone to sign off on what you wanted to do with your show, Stephen, how many people you got to check with?
Me.
Right. Yeah. And in the government, there's 1,267 people that have to sign off on something. I mean, the payroll for the government, you're going to shrink that? I know they want to fire people, but then what? Well, now they get unemployment benefits. Where's the economy going to absorb all these workers? The government payroll for the year is $1.4 trillion a year.
It's a major math problem.
Yeah, and these drones are the size of cars and buses, from what I've heard. This is not Harry Homeowner's drone from his backyard. Yeah. But that's what I'm trying to say. Look, when you read, if you just moved to the planet and you just moved to Delaware or Ohio or Tennessee, wherever, and you're reading these headlines and you brought your retirement savings with you from this other planet, you got $1 million saved, you got $100,000 saved. Where are you putting that tomorrow? Would you put it in the financial world? Would you put it in real estate? Where would people put that? Cash or gold and silver is your remaining options.
Do you ever see a time in the future where the government tries to confiscate gold and silver again, like they did under FDR?
No. So when they did that, and that's a great question, I get asked this all the time. So when they did that, gold was money. We went shopping with it. I mean, how badass. We went shopping with gold and silver. That stuff's older than the planet you're standing on. It was created by two colliding suns, older than the earth. It's amazing stuff. But so if that's money and the government wants to create more money out of its own origin, right, out of its own backyard, then it needs that resource in its safe to then offer up some more money. So when it said gold's illegal, turn it in, you had 180 days, you got your $20 an ounce for it. And then the government melted. They didn't know how much was out there. We're in the steam shovel age back then. So they weighed it all out after the 6 months. And they're like, we don't have enough to print $5 billion to fund the New Deal to get us out of the Depression. So we're also going to have to not only make your money, Stephen Gardner's money is now illegal. You have to use the paper now. And we're going to change gold's price from 20 to 35 an ounce, which means your savings just were diluted overnight by 40%. That's how the government solves problems. Prohibition. I mean, there's so many stupid examples. Duck and cover. The Soviets are shooting a nuke at your town. Dive under your desk. I mean, what? How about kiss your wife goodbye? Kiss your kids goodbye. Hide under a desk? Oh, yeah. In America, we used to make desks that were nuclear blast proof. So gold isn't money anymore. Money is really money anymore, but they can print all they want. So that's why they wouldn't come after gold or silver. They might, they might confiscate IRAs and 401ks. There's about 30 something trillion saved there. That might be, they could just a couple of keyboard strokes and poof, you're in bonds. I'm not saying they will. I'm just saying how easy that would be. You're not in equities anymore or mutual funds. You're in bonds. Now the government sends a payment into your IRA every month. Desperate men make for desperate measures. The government has no vision. They've proved that over the millennia. But they're leading. They're driving the bus.
Yeah. You now that you've answered that question, that I was trying to tie two things together, and you've helped me understand that. So you said you could put money in your safe at home, but Washington, D.C. can burn it from D.C. by making it less valuable, right? So I've got money sitting in a safe right now. I've also got gold sitting in a safe right now. And they burned that money. It literally buys less. Yeah. And then the gold sitting next to it literally buys more.
Yep. That's a great visual, right?
Yeah, I never thought about that till you said, you can collect money and put it in a safe, but they can burn it from Washington, D.C. Like that made so much, like, I love it. I love when I have those big brain eruptions. I
love it when I say something smart.
Me too. It doesn't happen very often for me, but I grabbed that thought and I put those two together. Like, okay, if they can burn my money, then the money sitting next to my gold's no good. But if they can steal my gold, it's no good either. But I think if they tried to do that again, I think the American people, we would have a rebellion a million times worse than the Tea Party.
No one would try. They'd just be shooting people knocking on the door. They wouldn't even answer the door. Just be shotgun, buck right through the door, and that's that. But also, just to give you an idea of how so I mentioned it too. So get this, right? Biden's last budget was $7 trillion. I think Trump's was around 5.5 in his last year, right? So they keep growing because the bills keep getting bigger. So they got to print more. The money is being spent in America, folks. They might be wasting it. There might be two government entities doing the same job, but the money's being spent in our dirt in America. They're not building ski resorts in Austria with this money. So just realize that even if it's being wasted, it still is giving someone a job and they're buying stuff at McDonald's and Costco. So money still ends up being spent in America. Now I'm starting to forget my point, but dang it. Sometimers. I'm 54, almost 55. I had a sometimers moment. So what was the last thing you just said?
Well, no, I think what you were saying is even if they reduce a bunch of the bills, that money gets reduced as well into the economy.
They needed $5 billion to end the Depression. $5 billion.
Wow.
Bezos could write that check 30 times today. Today, they need $7 trillion a year just to keep the lights on. To get out of the Depression in 1933, they needed $5 billion. $5 billion, folks. Billion. And the dollar back then was still worth, about 80 cents. Once they took it and jammed gold from 20 to 35, the dollar was worth about 80 cents immediately. Today, it's worth $3. So back to your safe analogy, if you owned some stock certificates in the dollar and some gold certificates, right? The stock certificates in the dollar have lost 97% of their value. They've gone from $100 a share to $3. And that's what you have your savings in. That's the point. And the gold certificates has gone from when Nixon ended the relationship, $50 a share to $2,700 a share. Now, you haven't missed the ride yet because the overwhelming solution that gold and silver offers, and I hope I'm not making this an infomercial, we could spend the last 5 minutes making fun of myself, is gold and silver is a location for savings. See, it's relocated. So even in the same safe, when the dollars come out to gold, it's no longer in dollars. It's no longer in the man-made manipulated financial world. It's left for the real world. You've made your dollar great again. 2 Substacks ago, my writing was make the dollar great again. You have to do that. That can't be done from Washington or Wall Street.
Okay. That makes sense. All right. I wanted to get your thoughts on Tom Homan, Trump's border czar, told reporters outside of a Christmas party a couple of days ago that the first areas he wants to hit in the cleanup of America are Democrat strongholds, cities where mayors have publicly threatened to derail Trump, where they're saying we will spend hundreds of millions of dollars of American taxpayer money to keep illegal immigrants in our city. What are your thoughts on his plans to go after those people first, and also those leaders' rebellious behavior?
My dad always said, when you're taking a math test, do the hard problems first. Do the hard problems first. So hitting them up where it's just so un-American. I mean, look, how is there these two realms, right? Someone comes into my house in Florida, they're stand your ground. I get to mess them up. I hit them with a bat. Maybe I can shoot them in the leg. That's called trespassing. You come across the border in a state that isn't DC, Texas, Arizona, California, they get to come here. Like, that's trespassing. There's a name, illegal alien, trespassing. So you now are going to spend American citizenry money that you got in many ways or another from the printing press or from taxes on keeping an illegal action present. That's sickening. It's anti-American. Here's one last analogy on the matter, and that is, so you see these illegal aliens coming out. Look, life for them is hell beneath the Rio Grande. I understand why they're coming. I'd be here too. I'd be here. I wouldn't care about your damn law. I'd come here. I get kids. I'm not the gunfire, hanging people from a bridge, murder. I mean, the drug stuff, all that stuff down there is sickening. That's what a nation looks like without laws. Kind of like our nation a little bit. Maybe Trump can preserve that. But those immigrants that come over draw on resources that we're already struggling for here in America, right? And they take jobs that maybe others would be doing if they weren't here. It's the same thing when Washington prints money. Those dollars are illegal aliens coming in and stressing the resources for the dollars that are already here. They cheapen the dollars that you guys already have in your checking and savings and your retirement accounts. That's what inflation is. It's always been happening. It's been averaging 8% a year since the year 2000. It's not this 2% hooey number the Federal Reserve likes to put out there. They've changed the equation for counting inflation about 4 times in the last 40 years. Since 1980, Reagan made the first change. They dipped out shelter and greatly reduced energy and agriculture-related products, and healthcare has never been in the number. So what we care about, consumer price index, CPI, it's for us. It's not some stupid economic heat number that the Fed is using and then telling us inflation's only 3%. It's not. It's more around 8, 9%. That's what it's been doing every year since the year 2000. That's what the dollar's death is. Dollar dies, commodity prices are forced higher. But your pay didn't increase with the same increase of commodity prices. Gas has doubled. Has your pay doubled? Eggs have doubled. Has your pay doubled? No. And that's what's evil. It's evil to try and think that this stupid Washington leadership can, not Trump, just all the people that have come before him, think they can give you a handout, get that vote, but it causes everyone's expenses to rise, but their income doesn't rise at the same pace, nowhere near that pace. So yeah, he should start where the most anti-American domains are, because that's what the Constitution says. And if you don't have the laws, you don't have the country. You have South America.
Yeah. Well, and if their game is to raise the population before the next census so that they can pick up seats in the House of Representatives, you got to get those people out there. But like, what a slap in the face, like I think about let's say a 60, 65-year-old couple, maybe 70. They're thinking about Social Security. They're thinking about retirement. They think, okay, I've tried to be wise with the money I've earned. Here's my grocery budget. And then you find out that an illegal immigrant gets $10,000 a month. So how's my $400, $500, $600 a month grocery budget that I had to work for and pay taxes and then set aside so I can eat? How does that compete with the government just handing that person thousands of dollars every month? Right. So not only are they taking our federal taxation money in order to let them in the country, keep them in the country, now you've got local mayors and county officials and state governors saying, now we're going to use your state tax money to fight to keep them here. Like, what a slap in the face.
There's some other words I could use, yeah, but it's disgusting. It's like we've been invaded by an alien force that literally works against the good people that are already here to make life better for the ones that shouldn't be here in the means that they came here. It's just, that's, it's very, it's sick. You get a sinking, sick feeling in your stomach.
Yeah.
Your heart breaks. You're like, what? It's like, back to my Braveheart analogy. Hopefully everyone's seen the movie. When he's betrayed by the Bruce was supposed to bring his army and fight alongside Braveheart. Instead, he partners with the king. And when Braveheart was about to beat them in another incredible battle, those troops pull back and he's slaughtered. And he realizes he was betrayed. And that's what's happening today. These assholes, I swear I usually don't cuss, but these assholes are not, they're not American, because to be American means you honor the Constitution, you're good to your neighbor, you're thoughtful, you're self-sacrificing, you're positive, even in the face of negativity. You're real. That's an American. They're not. They're not Americans.
Yeah.
They might have the driver's license that says they're from here, but these Democrats.
They can. You can come here and you can say, I'm going to commit to being an American and go through it the way that all other immigrants have come here. But to skip the system and then be rewarded to the tunes of tens of thousands of dollars a month, it's just, I can't think of a better, more G-rated, family-friendly show way of saying what a slap in your face. I just bite it.
Here's the other thing, man. How many decades have these retarded elected officials of ours had to make naturalization go from 14 years to a year? Why can't we just be, down setting up like the military recruitment offices? I will say this. If we had brought over 30, 40 million, 50 million people that weren't feeling like they were second-class citizens in the last few decades, that's the only way you can kind of make the dollar stronger, is by creating more productivity from the hammers in the economy, the workers, the boots on the ground. That is what would have solved the baby boomer retiring problem that was created in 1997 that we are still suffering from and will forever, when 60 million people leave the workforce at peak earnings. So if we had set up kiosks like Marines and Army and Air Force and Navy recruitment centers in every city south of the Rio Grande that had, 50,000 people in it, we could be interviewing great people and have a deadlocked border that no one crosses, no tunnels. Fuck, blow them up. Let's drop some Moabs on these tunnels. The mother of all bombs that we hunted Osama with. Let's play hardball. Hardball. Every tractor trailer gets inspected coming north from Mexico. Every single one. I don't care if it causes a delay. We live here. This is our land. We're not going to have your stupid inefficiencies let fentanyl come across the country and kill Bobby and Jane. We're just not going to have that. That's not okay. That's elite. That's evil. So why you just notice the spineless and cowardness everywhere in our elected government?
Yeah, I saw this like big black, it looked like maybe like a Dodge Ram dually coming across the border, and they bring out the smelling dogs at the border, and they're picking up on something, and they take off the back fender over the double wheel, the quarter panel there, and there were 3 men stuffed inside of there, sweating their guts out in order to get to America. So America is still great, and it can be greater, but man, yeah, we've got to make some changes.
We can be down there interviewing great people to come here. I don't think really Americans are against immigration at all. They're against cheating. They're definitely against getting, clipped because of some stupid government decision to give handouts to people who've never paid taxes here. They're definitely against that. Yeah. But if our government could have made naturalization take a year or two, it takes 14 years, to my understanding. 14 years of living, get a visa, live here, be a second-class citizen for a long time. Then finally you get to say the Pledge of Allegiance. That's wrong. But they don't want to touch the subject because they just want to get reelected. Term limits would have done a lot. It's kind of the only thing the framers missed. Term limits. Manchin, who just retired, who's probably a great statesman, West Virginian senator, independent for a long time now, is for six years on the president, one term, 6 years, 6 years on a no more than 12 years. So House reps could get reelected twice, win election 2 more times, and senators 12 years, they could win reelection once, and that's it. Then we wouldn't have these career politicians listening to lobbyists all day long and end up electing all these idiots to a career that don't really do anything they're attacking us. But their actions cause us harm.
Yeah, they really do. Proof of that is, Mitch McConnell's like 82 years old, suffers a stroke after lunch, falls down. Dianne Feinstein, her final vote, they literally had to tell her in her ear, okay, raise your hand. What for? What is this about? Just raise your hand. They're trying to do a vote. Maxine Water, that lady needs to go away. Nancy Pelosi just announced she's going to run away or going to run again. She's not running because she wants to do good. She's trying to avoid having her family investigated. Oh. So, yeah, I completely agree that term limits would do a lot. Paul, I want to thank you for coming on. Always fun conversations with you. I just want to give a shout out to your company. My channel is approaching doing better than CNN, a nationwide network with millions and hundreds of millions of dollars, and I'm getting more views on their behalf. And part of that is the fact that I have great sponsors like Colonial Metals Group. So, folks, if you want to learn more about gold and silver, their team is so good at educating you. There's no pressure. It's all about education. You can put gold and silver into an IRA. You can also get your money out of cash over into a better location, which is gold and silver. You can call 800-807-2143 or check out colonialmetalsgroup.com/Stephen-Gardner or the QR code. I just want to say thank you, Paul, for you and your partner sponsoring the Stephen Gardner Show so that I can now be a greater source of truth to the country than freaking CNN, baby.
I love it, man. We love to be a part of winning, and truth wins, and gutting it out wins, and all that sick stuff that CNN and MSNBC have been putting out there in the Times and all that. Just it's all just about futility and loserdom. Oh, I can't wait till it's eradicated.
Well, the trajectory, they're going down faster than the US dollar, so I don't think they'll last very long. Paul, thank you so much for coming on. I'll put those links down below. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
You too, and happy holidays to you and your family and everyone listening. If we don't talk again beforehand, God bless you this Christmas, this New Year's, and all the other religious holidays involved as well. Everyone's safe and happy and have fun.
Oh, great. Thank you. I appreciate that.